Hey everyone, just so you guys know, due to some copyrights, I had to change the voices to AI voices that I found in my program. The AIs actually led to some pretty hilarious mishaps with some of the background noise that it couldn't distinguish from real human voices, so I definitely left those in. I hope you guys enjoy. Hey everyone, my name is Ava Bella, and if you were like me, you were obsessed with Squid Games when it first came out. I legitimately binged watched the entire season in about 2 days. It would have been 1 day if I didn't need sleep, but unfortunately we do. I was so excited to hear when they finally released the second season trailer that is coming out December 26th, hence the Christmas theme intro. I'm really excited to find out what happens to our mysterious red-haired man winner. So let's go ahead and break down season 1 of Squid Games. Squid Game was released in September of 2021 with 1,100 million members household worldwide after 17 days. I had to read that because I personally don't know what the hell that means, but it did beat Bridgerton, that only had 82 million in the first 28 days of its release in December of that year. Because of Squid Game's massive success, it led companies and rich YouTubers wanting to pretend that they were the actual and create these knockoff games for people to win money.
I recreated every single set from Squid Game in real life.
Which, in my opinion, is them missing the point. Where the fuck is the point? There it fucking goes. Our story starts off with Gi-yoon, who is a loser broke dad who steals from his elderly disabled mom, who owes a lot of people money who don't know how to keep their knives to themselves. He's definitely not our main character. They have also never heard of body fluid and transfer of diseases. He has a daughter with a woman who has upgraded, and they plan to move to America.
Kaya may swear. Next year?
While in the subway being uber depressed about his life, he meets Mr. Beanbag, who enjoys slapping the ever-living fuck out of people who don't win his game. He is clearly fueled by the fiery pleasure of slapping somebody's face. However, when Gi-yoon finally wins, Mr. Beanbag keeps his word and gives him money as per their deal.
Your 100 grand.
It is then that Mr. Beanbag tells him that there's more money where that came from, and he gives him a card with a number and tells him, "Call me for more." Gi-yoon goes home and gets scolded by his mother for getting beaten up and for not knowing that his daughter is going to America.
They're moving to the U.S. next year.
Hopeless, broke, and desperate, he decides to create a YouTube channel. I mean, call the number on the card.
Do you wish to participate in the game? If you wish to participate, please state your name and birth date.
Next thing we know, Gi-yoon is getting gassed and waking up with a room full of other people who also got gassed. After some yelling to the shape people of, "You kidnapped us!" we see that everyone here owes a significant amount of debt. The Square, who is the leader, who I will just be referring to as the Square, tells them, play games for
6 different games over 6 days.
And you win money. Lots and lots of money. Everyone's like, okay, cool. They sign a contract and it's off to the first game. Gi-yoon sees his childhood friend, Sung-woo, who hasn't bought him a beer for all the times he drove him to school.
Sung-woo been around here. I used to take him to school when we were young. He at least started buying me a drink.
The fucking nerve. Once they get into a big room with a creepy-ass fucking doll, the announcer starts to explain the rules of red light, green light.
Only play red light, green light. You are allowed to move forward when it shouts out green light. Stop when it shouts red light. If your movement is detected afterwards, you will be eliminated.
And when one person can't even follow these simple-ass instructions, he rightfully gets called out.
Player 324, eliminated.
With death. And then, everyone starts breaking the fucking rules, making the robot lady go crazy with how silly these little ducks are. After a bunch of people are out, the lady has to explain the rules.
I will now repeat the rules.
Not more than 5 minutes after saying them. Gi-yoon is safe because someone died on top of him, and when his smart boy friend, Sung-woo, tells him, hey, We only got a couple of minutes, bro. Get up or you're dead. Use a meat shield, like me. Gyun gets his ass up and also uses the meat shield, who instantly dies. He almost dies, if not for the wonderful Pakistani Ali, who saves him with his superhuman strength. Gyun and his new best friend Ollie make it across the finish line. Back inside, people are mad. And Squareface is just like... if he had a face. And I forgot to mention that there is this guy walking around with a black mask on. They call him Frontman, but like for the first 3 episodes while I was taking notes, I didn't realize that his name was Frontman. I think they only said it like once and I just didn't catch it. So I was calling him Geodude in my notes. So that is what I'm going to refer to him as. But he is technically Frontman. But he is now, from here on out and forever of time, Geodude. So in the beginning episodes, they keep showing him, but he doesn't say much until the later episodes. And all he really says is like, be good. That's enough. And so that's why he really didn't stick out to me as super important in the beginning. Again, keep in the back of your head, he is important later on. But again, that's just why I called him Geodude for like the first 3 or 4 episodes. Anyway, everyone is freaking out. This bitch is crazy lying about a kid. I'm gonna keep on calling her Crazy Bitch because I don't think we learn her real name until like episode 7. And surprisingly, people don't want to die. At least, not until they see the big stacks that they would get if they win and not die. Just look at that fat stack.
Since there were 456 players, the total prize money is 45.6 billion won.
It is explained that with each person that dies, more money will be added to the piggy bank.
100 million won is at stake per player.
They decide to take a vote. Since rule number 3 says if the majority doesn't want to play, then they don't have to play. Everyone votes and it's down to 001. And they go home. Which I really can't imagine a world where it would be exactly even like this in a room full of 200 something people. Maybe it's down to like 100 or something, I can't remember. It's exactly half and half and there's only 1 vote. I can't imagine a world where it would actually be that way, but that's just me being nitpicky. So we're moving on. In episode 2, we finally see what everybody's life is like outside of the games. On top of his daughter moving to America, Gyun's mom has been diagnosed with severe diabetes and will probably need her feet amputated. And because Gyun is a broke loser boy, she knows he can't do anything and knows she's the only one reliable enough to not gamble away their money.
Tell me, say I stay here and they treat me. Who's going to pay the rent in that case? Also, do you know how much it costs to be in a hospital? Not to mention how much all the drugs are.
Insurance will help pay for them.
Insurance? Help us! You canceled all that. Remember, you ended it and used up all the cash we had.
I'll get what you need. I'll get all the money you need.
Song-woo has done a bunch of shady shit, stole from people, and put his mom and house up as collateral to pay it off.
It wasn't just stocks now. It was futures too.
File for personal bankruptcy then.
I used all of my mom's properties as collateral, including our house.
Ollie's boss is the definition of an asshole who holds wages and exploits immigrant workers.
Is something wrong?
Sir, stop. Pay what you owe me now.
Don't you remember I told you, I've got no money. Business isn't going so well.
Look at what working here did to my body, sir. 6 whole months and nothing for all our hard work out there.
Go and ask the rest of my employees if they got their paychecks yet. I can't pay anyone until I get the cast.
His wife also had a newborn baby and no money because of his asshole boss man. This is Se-byuk. We actually learned of her in the first episode, but only as a pickpocket. I like Se-byuk as Se-byuk is from here on out with the backstory rather than just a pickpocket, which is kind of how we are introduced to her. Which is why I didn't really mention her in the first episode. She was barely in it. She was in it for a few seconds. We knew she was going to be a main character just because, like, how long they held on to her face type of thing. But moving on, we're going to learn Se-byuk's reason for wanting to go back into the games. Se-byuk's brother is in an orphanage, and she's trying to get her parents out of North Korea. The person helping her is an asshole, stole all of her money, and is worse than Ollie's boss. There's also this guy, I don't know if he's a mob guy, but he has a really bad snake tattoo that I thought was a dick for the longest time. I don't know, I think he stole from his crew, they found out, and now they want to kill him.
Little cubs, I chew ducks too, okay? Come on, come at me.
We are definitely not going to go too much into his character because I don't think he deserves it. He plays the basic antagonist of the show, and I'll mention him briefly. I'm just not going to spend too much time on him because he's annoying to me. He's just mean, and he eats really grossly to show his dominance. What is it with awful people, or like as they try to portray them in movies, just eating with their front teeth? Do you not have back teeth? Have you been in so many fights that your back teeth have just been knocked the fuck out? Why don't you use your back teeth, sir? That is gross. Stop it. So with all of this in mind, they decide to go back into the games. As a side quest, there is this sexy detective. For the life of me, I can't remember his name. But I do refer to him as the detective throughout in my notes, so I'm just going to call him the detective. In episode 2, Gi-yoon did go to the police and be like, hey, there are these people playing these games, and then they kill you if you lose. The police obviously do not take him seriously, but he leaves the business card with the police. Sexy detective sees this business card, and it turns out that he has a brother who is missing. When detective goes into his brother's apartment to try to look for clues, being all Blue's Clues up in here,
A clue!
he notices the same card. So now he becomes a super sneaky detective, and he becomes a shape. I'm going to do this thing where in this season, I'm going to have different sections for different plots. For me, it's a little confusing to kind of intermix them together. So I'm going to focus on our main plot. When certain plots happen, I will insert them kind of to where they will make sense and everything will kind of flow together. But I'm not going to intermix like main plot, side plot, main plot, side plot, because that to me can get a little confusing. So I hope you guys understand, and I hope it will make sense in the end on how I'm going to edit this video. So while everybody is passing out, Se-byuk doesn't pass out because she covers her nose, and that's definitely enough to not pass out. She also super hides a pocket knife. Look at that skill. No way a real person would have felt that. So anyway, she has a pocket knife now, which only becomes useful in like one scene. So good job, Se-byuk. So when it's time to wake up, our team gets back together. We have Smart Boy, who is Sang-woo, Gi-yoon, Ali, and 001 as the OG team. Some small stuff happens, like the team eating some lunch. At least Gi-yoon is pretending to eat lunch. They talk about different types of games that the next game could be. And then it's nighttime. This bitch has to use the bathroom. And God, can I just say her voice actor makes her absolutely unfucking bearable. I don't know if that was intentional, but if it was, bravo. You did it. You win the prize of being unbearable to listen to.
Hey, open the door, fuckface!
So she and Se-byuk go to the bathroom when Se-byuk sneaks into the vents. She finds out that they are melting sugar. What does that mean to her? Nothing. And therefore, it was a waste of time. The only real purpose that this scene served is that Sang-woo convinces Se-byuk to tell him what she saw.
You saw something, right? Happened to overhear your discussion last night. So tell me, what did you see?
He knows that she knows something. She tells him, hey, they were melting sugar.
They were heating sugar.
And again, that is it of this scene, of this plot point, of the purpose of this pocket knife. Once they start to get ushered into the other room, it is a big-ass playground room. Sang-woo sees the shapes and then remembers a game that from his childhood called Dalgona.
Sang-woo.
He refuses to share any of this information, and because they're a team, they agree to take one shape each.
Someone, huh? Got anything?
Not yet.
Gi-yoon takes, arguably, the most difficult shape as the umbrella.
Should we play this together?
That could be dangerous. At this point, we don't know anything.
Let's all split up and take it from there.
All right, let me go try and go.
Then I'm choose the umbrella.
Sang-woo refuses to tell him. He's about to. You can see his conscience kind of peeking in a little bit like, oh shit, this is my childhood friend, I should help him. And then he's like, nah.
Nothing.
Never mind, you're fine. I don't know anything. So, Dalgona is a game where you scratch out a shape into the cookie without breaking it. The absolute dread on Giyun's face speaks volumes when he realizes he picked, again, the most difficult shape of a fucking umbrella.
I'm dead.
How in the world? So people are straddling the ground, scratching away while the guards are just walking around and they're like, hey, let me see your cookie. And people are like, no, I'm not gonna show you my cookie. They seriously look like they're trying to like hide their answers to a test. It's not long before the pew-pews begin to ring, and more people just can't simply follow the rules. Just get the shape out of the cookie. I guess they misinterpreted the rules.
I misinterpreted the rules.
Soon, there's only a few left, and Giyun is sweating. Literally, look how dirty this sweat is on his chin. Disgusting. Anyway, so his dirty-ass sweat drips onto the cookie, and then he realizes, hey, water can help me see through it. So then he begins to lick the ever-living shit out of it. Look at him go. No wonder he lost his wife. Soon, everyone is losing Giyun's wife. And voila, the umbrella is out. The tongue of the literal gods this man has. The survivors get ushered into the next room where they don't get murdered. 001 exhibits how he lost his wife. The losers get blasted.
Damn it!
Except for this one guy who's like, you ain't gonna kill me, take off your mask. To which Squareface does.
You're just a kid.
Why? This leads me to my first gripe. So let me explain this scene as it takes place. Loser Boy takes Square Boy's gun, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you if you don't take off your mask. Square Boy does. Loser Boy is in shock because you're just a kid. And then proceeds to off himself. Geodude comes in, and he's all stormy stompies, and proceeds to off Square Boy. And he's all like,
Remember, once they find out who you are, you die.
so tell me this. Square Boy is head of triangles and squares. That's how the hierarchy goes. So Square Boy knows the rules because he knows more than triangles and squares. He's basically just below Geodude. So when Loser Boy tells him, take off your mask, and he does, he knew he was gonna die. So essentially he had a better chance of not taking off his mask with Loser Boy than officially taking off his mask and definitely dying with Geodude. You see what I'm saying? So now it's dinner, which I guess is just an egg and water that Snake Man very sexily cracks on his greasy ass head. Well, this ain't gonna fill up his big belly and his boys and this chick. So they decide to cut in line and get seconds to fill their big bellies. And now, there's not enough food for everyone.
Oh, no.
Now, this is one of those side plots that I will explain later, but just to give a very short little snippet, it is revealed that they had planned not to give the players enough food for everyone. Basically, they wanted to entice fighting amongst the people to weed out the weak. I will tell you why this doesn't make sense. So you're telling me that they planned on these 5 people stealing food and not having enough food for exactly 5 people? How did they know that these people were going to do that? I mean, yeah, it's kind of obvious that like this guy is like the big honcho and the big baddie and blah. But how did they know exactly 5 short food? You know what I'm saying? So moving on. Snake Man decides to kill the one who ratted him out, and Giyun is like, hey, he killed this guy. Sir? These people have been killing you for 2 games now. Over half of you is dead, and you're just now being all like, he can't kill this guy. You can kill us, but he can't kill us. So everyone knows that shit's about to go down. Our OG team adds Sae-byuk, cause she's cool and we like her. Well, shit's definitely about to go down because lights are flashing, they're screaming, and everyone is basically just raving.
Let's get the party started!
Now don't forget, our OG team includes 001, who is the oldest person who is here. So they're trying to find him, and they're like, oh no, he's gone.
He's not here.
After a questionable amount of time, the old man is on the goddamn top bunker, and he's like, I'm scared!
I'm scared!
And that's when we get the famous line of Geodude being like, a little bit of a side note, can we please talk about the amount of fevers these people have? 122 fucking degrees? I would be scared too. The shapes finally come in and make everybody stop, cleaning up the bodies and making everything right as rain. The next game is about to begin and they need groups of 10. Snake Dude kicks out this bitch and our team takes her on, along with this girl who makes like dehorning goats look like the best day ever. The game is tug of war and our team is like, oh, fuck. We got chicks, man. And an old man. As they go up to face their all-male group, 001 tells them how to win, because he's old and wise in that kind of stereotype.
When I was young, we always liked tug of war. It's a game I know well. And back then, I would always win. Even if there was a wrestler on the other team.
He tells them to go on alternating sides, with our strong boy Ali at the back, and for the first 10 seconds to just hold and stay together.
Stand together! You should lean back, practically lie down. Just hold like this for 10 seconds.
They do this and then they start to win, but our boys team starts to win again. So Sang-woo tells them to take 3 steps up and then to pull.
Take 3 steps up, right? You know? Go down!
The other team loses their balance and promptly falls to their bloody death, leaving our OG team the victory. That night, while our team is expecting another bitchin' rave, they start to build a barricade with the beds. Gi-yoon makes Snake Man very, very nervous by telling him that his team is not very teamly.
The people you trust? Oh, yeah, that was me there. Once the fighting starts to happen, you'd be the first person I'd go for.
While keeping watch, Ali shares his corn with Sang-woo and they bond. We get some backstory from Gi-yoon about a riot that happened at his work. He was in a riot at his work and some people died and now he has the PTSD. Okay, so we're gonna back up a little bit because this is where the intermingling plots kind of start to intermingle with our main story. So this dude was a doctor and we found out that he killed one of his patients, lost his practice, and that's why he's in here.
Who'd have thought a quack who killed his own patient would still be so proud about his work?
He's working with some of the shapes to harvest some of the organs and sell them on the black market. In exchange for doing this, the shapes tell the doctor what the next game is and also provide him with extra food.
That's why we tell you what the games are beforehand and get you that extra food.
This is where we learned that there was going to be that riot back in like episode 3, because we definitely knew that these 3 people were going to cut in line, and I'm still not over that.
We gave you less food on purpose to make you all fight each other, weeding out the weaklings before the next game begins.
Turns out there were quite a few shapes in this plot, including our main shape, 29, who is the detective. More on him later. Someone higher up had to figure out what was going on because these shape boys don't know what the next game is.
What you said? Bullshit.
We haven't been told what it is yet.
The doctor gets mad and starts fucking attacking people, runs away, and then gets cornered by his shape friends. This shape shows his face, which I guess is supposed to be a sign of the ultimate trust. And yeah, we got that line back in episode 2 or 3, whatever episode it was, where he goes, if they see your face, you die. But like, I don't know who you are.
Who the hell are you?
Just because you see my face, I don't know who you are. So it doesn't make sense to me. So even though this guy showed the doctor his face, which is apparently the ultimate trust in this show, they still get killed by Geodude. There was a small speech about how all of these people are within these walls created equal, essentially. Something about how out there they didn't have a chance, but here with the games, they're given one last chance to win money and to essentially get a better life. And because these shapes gave the doctor this information, you know, games beforehand, extra food, then there was a tip in the balance, and which made it unequal, inequality, and that is essentially why he kills them. He actually doesn't give a flying fuck what they do with the bodies.
Whether you sell the dead body's organs, or eat them, or whatever, I don't give a damn. You ruined the most important aspect of this place, equality. Everyone is equal when I play this game. Here, every player gets to play a fair game under the same conditions. These people suffered from inequality and discrimination out in the world, and we're giving them one last chance to fight fair and win. You broke that principle.
And that is the end of that subplot. Back to our team, they all wake up nice and rested and ready to start the day with a warm welcome from the dead. It is also at this time that they know about the detective, just as like there's an intruder somewhere. But again, we're going to go more into the detective's backstory a little bit later. Just know that they kind of woke everybody up suddenly, and I think that kind of leads us to why this scene happens.
Get up!
Sir, let me help.
And this scene really is just to showcase how genuinely nice Giyun is and how much he cares for other people, essentially. In our next game, everybody needs to choose a partner, which is making teams of 2. This one guy basically tells him that since there's an odd number of players, one person is going to be left out, and essentially, what do you think is going to happen to the person that isn't chosen? He genuinely feels bad that 001, in his head, that 001 is just going to be offed without, again, given a fair chance. Again, showing Giyun's good nature, he picks 001, even though he knows his chances are extremely low, given the physical nature of 2 out of the 3 games so far.
Hey, old man. Want to do this together?
And while genuinely caring about people is a great characteristic to have, it obviously does not work in these types of games. So anyway, we're led to a room full of older looking houses. 001 comments how it looks like his neighborhood when he was growing up, and as they're walking, 001 gives them the name Gambu, which means close friend or partner in Korean.
You and I are Gambu now.
So now we have our partners of Songwoo and Ollie, Sebyuk and this chick, and Giyun and 001. We find out that the game is any game that you want as long as it includes the marbles. All you have to do is collect all of your partner's marbles before the timer. The one with all of their partner's marbles wins and the other one is killed. I mean eliminated. This is where there is a definite tonal shift in this show. We always knew that characters that we would grow to like would probably eventually die, but it's in the way that they die that just really has this episode gut-wrenching. So let's start off with Songwoo and Ollie. As Songwoo starts to lose at odds and evens, he decides to send Ollie on a fake mission of getting a quick tally of the rest of the people playing.
We're teammates, so we'll just add up everything. Our team will go play other teams with all 20.
Here's your plan. What is it?
We better split up to get an idea how all the other teams are doing to be prepared. Let's look for ones that seem too young or old, and check only teams that are still playing games at this point. You go up a few blocks from here, then meet back up with me later, okay?
Okay, Samo.
Even now, I don't understand what he's talking about, and maybe I just have hindsight because I know how this ends. But I feel like the very first time I watched it back in 2021, I really didn't understand what he was talking about. So Songwoo tricks Ollie and takes all of his marbles.
Ollie, your pouch there. It's too dangerous to keep it out. Yeah, I'll make sure that it's safe, okay?
Player 278 eliminated.
The utter look of betrayal on Ollie's face and the coldness in Song Woo's face, it speaks volumes. I definitely wanted to punch the screen. Next we have this chick in Se-byuk. We learn a little bit more of Se-byuk's backstory about how her father was killed while they were trying to escape North Korea, and her mother is being held somewhere in China. She explains basically what we already know about her brother being in an orphanage, and how she needs money to rescue her brother and to get her brother out of there. This chick, I honestly really can't remember her name. I'm not even sure if they ever said it. So she was raped by her father, and so she killed her mother and father.
What have you seen?
First body I saw. My mother's. One day I came back from school, and my mom was lying there dead on the floor. And next to her was my so-called dad with a knife. The next body that I saw, that was my dad's. And the person standing there holding the knife, that was me. He was a goddamn pastor too. And when he hit her and did the things he did to me, he would talk to God. Didn't pray on that day after he killed her.
She was then sent to prison, and when she got out, a man with the shapes card was waiting for her. That's all I really know of her story, other than it really seems like she wanted to be Se-byuk's friend.
Oh no, we gotta fix that then. Well, once we're out of here, we'll have a girls' night out and make mojitos and everything, okay?
They decided to do a winner-take-all type of marble game. And I think it's like whoever can get it closer to this wall will win. So she intentionally throws the match. She explains that she has nothing for her in the outside, while Se-byuk has her mother and her brother that need her. And even though we didn't know her for very long, I think we only knew her for 2 episodes, her death genuinely made me tear up.
Thank you for playing with me.
Hell, this whole episode made me tear up. Gi-yoon and 001 are playing odds and evens. As Gi-yoon starts to lose, 001 starts to lose his memory because of a brain tumor that he mentioned back in episode 1. Gi-yoon takes advantage of this and starts to win.
Hold on. What's today's date? Right. Here.
Odd.
When it comes down to his last marble, 001 reveals that he knew that Gi-yoon was cheating.
Does tricking your friend like that make sense to you?
And was taking advantage of his memory loss. And yet, he still calls him Ganbu and gives him his last marble. We hear the last gunshot ring, and 001 is eliminated.
Player 1, eliminated.
The winners are escorted back to the room, and they see this crazy bitch is still alive. And my god, this actress can do crazy eyes. Jesus fucking Christ. Nothing happens in the night, and when the next game is about to begin, the VIPs begin to arrive. We've only heard about them in passing, but this is the first time we actually get any kind of details about them. And in a nutshell, they are sexually gross rich men who are very used to throwing their money around and bet on the players like they aren't real people who are actually being murdered.
No, don't do it, you asshole. Fucking loser. What are you so worked up about? Put a lot of money on that dickhead to win. Oh, how much did you bet? $1 million bucks? Oh, what convinced you to bet so much on number 69? Oh, it's such a beautiful number 69.
It is here we really start to see the true purpose and meaning behind the show. Capitalists are so far removed from reality because of their wealth that any sense of morality has gone out the fucking window. And while one can simply say, well, they signed up for this, you have to remember that the lower class is so fucking desperate for a better life that their own moralities begin to waver the closer and closer they get to the prize money.
Who are we bidding on this time? 96. What's your reason? Well, if I can't do 69, I'll try 96.
Not to mention the absolute exploitation of the lower class by essentially dangling a better life in front of them and essentially telling them to dance and stomp on the others around them. Anyway, moving on to the next game. All the players go into a room where the vests are labeled 1 through 16. They are told to pick one. The middle section immediately gets picked up, and when the people begin to hesitate, the kind lady tells them,
"The numbers you see on the mannequins correspond to the order in which you will be playing. Please make your decision carefully."
Yoon is about to pick number 1, but this dude gives a really stupid sob story about how he's always been hiding in a crowd and for once he wants to be the leader. It was really dumb. So he's definitely first to die in this game of jump onto this glass or that glass and hope it doesn't break. This game takes a while, but finally it's Snake Dude's turn to jump. This is when he truly shows everybody what a coward he is. Crazy Bitch calls him out. She bear hugs him and makes them fall together. Once we are at the final 4, this dude says that he can tell the difference between the 2 glasses. But when Geodude turns out the light, he can't. This is when we truly see the full shift of Songwoo, who pushes the guy who falls through the glass and dies on the last step.
To this?
So just try one.
We have been seeing little hints of Hit This Side coming out, but at this point he's not afraid to hide it anymore. The timer runs out and the bridge explodes in the most slow mode that ever slowed mode in history. Everyone gets at least a cut on their face, but Saebyuk gets a gash in her stomach. The 3 are treated to a steak dinner and told that they are the best and that they should enjoy their food. We see Saebyuk not doing well. When they're done, the silly little shapes forgot to take away their knives. Once in the room, Saebyuk is literally dying when Gyun tries to make a pact with her. After learning about her family, he finally admits that he wants to be a better father to his daughter Gyeong. Saebyuk isn't stupid and she knows she's about to die, so she tries to get him to promise that she will take care of her brother if she doesn't make it out alive.
I need you to swear that you'll look after him.
Songwoo falls asleep and Gyun is about to go over there and murder him. Because he can tell that Songwoo is basically money thirsty, if you will, but Gyun doesn't like that. He's a good-natured boy. Saebyuk stops him from murdering him by reminding him that he's better than that.
Don't do it. That isn't you. You're a good person at heart.
And he truly is better than that. It was shown time and time again that Gyun actually genuinely cares about the people around him. Suddenly, Saebyuk collapses, and while Gyun is trying to get the shape guys to help her, which I don't know why they would start helping the players now. Like, they haven't before. Why would they do it in the last 3? But while he's trying to get their attention, the nice lady says that she is eliminated. It is revealed that Songwoo stabbed her in the neck. Which Gyu takes really hard. And I have to say, realistically, it was a sad moment. But if we look at all the interactions that Gyun and Saebyuk had together, she was cold to him like 90% of the time. And don't get me wrong, like, we know why. Like, she is very much the mysterious outlier who truly is like, I don't really want anything to do with any of you. She kind of represents what Songwoo is representing now. Like how she, okay, let me explain. She didn't have any connection to people, which Songwoo pretends to have connections with people. But she truly didn't. Like, she knew what the games were, just like Songwoo knows what the games are. Again, more on that later. But she knew what the games were. And so that's why she was a little cold to that one chick of being like, let's just get this over with. One of us is going to die. Let's just get it over with. And the girl actually made a true connection with her, knowing that they were going to die. She didn't want that connection. I'm sure that in North Korea, she had seen plenty of death. She saw her mother die. At the very least, we definitely know that. She confirmed it. She at the very least saw her mother die. I'm sure she didn't want any more attachments to people that she grew to care about dying. So with that in mind, Gi-yoon takes her death very hard, which again, like I said, even though like most of the time she was cold to him, but again, we know why. So I already explained all that. But I just don't understand his level of anger towards Song-woo in this moment. It's almost like they had a one moment of true heart-to-heart bonding. And maybe you can argue that maybe he sees a little bit of his daughter in Se-byuk. You know, maybe he just saw himself as an older brother / father figure to her and just kind of wanted to keep her as safe as possible, even though given the games, it wasn't possible. And maybe that's why he got so upset. He just truly wanted to help her. And again, that just goes to his good nature. So before we get into the final game, let's go all the way back to Detective, because this is where his story arc kind of begins to close, as well as the whole show. So going back to episode 2, I told you guys that he left his card, and that's how we meet Sexy Detective in the first place. He found the card, he kind of met with Gi-yoon very, very briefly, and that's when he starts to follow the van, and that's how we end up here with him as a circle. So we kind of know all of that. There really wasn't much in between those episodes, except for just him trying to kind of blend in, you know, essentially gathering evidence, or at least eyeball evidence, I guess, and just playing it cool for like the first 3-ish episodes that we see him as a shape. So we're gonna jump over to where actual Square Boy dies, very stupidly I might add, which was really just all plot armor for Sneaky Detective to become a Square Detective. The only time he uses his square mask is right after the rave scene, and it's only to go up to Gi-yoon and be like, "Yo, Gi-yoon, it's me, kind of. Is my brother here?" And Gi-yoon's like, "IDFK, man. We don't use names here." And the detective walks off, never to talk to Gi-yoon again, and to never use the square mask again. So that was that plot. So we're back in the guard's quarters, where the guard next to Detective keeps on coughing. And at first, Detective is like, "Bro, do you need a cough drop?" But then he actually realizes that he is coughing in Morse code, and the Morse code is 29.
Morse code. Number 29.
Right after the tug-of-war game, he follows his coffee partner over to where the doc and the others are. See, it's all coming together. And this is where they keep on talking about a zombie. I'm not sure if it was a translation, not error, but like the closest thing in Korea that could relate to English is just calling this person a zombie, but they kept saying zombie, so we'll just go with that.
I nearly pissed myself that night. I thought the thing was dead, but then it shot up like a zombie. It started glaring at me with one of its eyes popping out. We could hardly salvage anything. But that zombie looked promising.
They keep on talking about a zombie who wasn't fully dead, and they had to beat him with a crowbar. It is mentioned that this zombie was missing a kidney, and the detective's clue boner pops right up.
This is totally giving me a clue right now.
So they go on to deliver the organs. Before they start to dive, because they're on like this deserted island, the detective finally confronts number 28 about everything that's going on. Number 28 is like, "Nah, dude, don't shoot me. I'll show you my face." Who the fuck are you?
Who am I?
I don't understand this showing of the face as to be a sign of trust. I don't get it. We learn that he has his brother's kidney.
Know where that other kidney went? In here.
So they must have killed him because that one person didn't have a kidney. The other dude is like, "Nah, bro. She was a girl, I swear." When the detective doesn't believe him, 28 tells him about Geodude's room that has a list of all the contestants with their medical history. This doesn't save him and he gets blasted. In Geodude's office, we get a little bit more lore, and it's mainly that these games have been going on for decades. He sees that his brother won the games in 2015, and I absolutely love how you can see everybody's picture clear as day, but you can't see his brother's picture.
Hello.
It doesn't do anything for the plot to know what he looks like. It's not like we would have seen his fate and be like, "Oh shit, it's that guy." So I really don't know why they made it so hard to see. So in Geodude's office, there is a phone that he uses just to communicate with the other people that are inside of the facility. And this is where the detective makes his one mistake. He doesn't put the receiver back the way that Geodude always puts down the receiver. So when Geodude comes back and picks up the receiver, he notices that it is the opposite way. So while Geodude is looking for the detective inside of his office, he says this line.
But you can't leave this place without my permission.
Okay, bet, Geodude. Our detective is almost found out, but luckily the VIPs arrive, and so Geodude gets a call and being like, okay, well, I'm on my way. And he gets very upset and storms away. So now our detective upgrades to a new costume. One with the highest technology recording equipment available. After being sexually harassed and nearly sexually assaulted, he eventually gets the upper hand and gets a full confession from one of the VIPs.
Tell me everything you know about the game.
So he escapes through the tunnel that he and that one guy that were trying to harvest the organs go through that has like a bunch of like diving equipment. So when he reaches the surface, he tries to call his supervisor, or it says chief on the phone. He tries to call his chief and be like, oh my god, chief, you need to send everybody over here like right now. And when he sees that Geodude and the others are like, you know, arriving on the island, he goes, I'm gonna send you some shit, and hangs up. He eventually gets cornered by everybody, and he starts to threaten Geodude like, hey, I'm gonna shoot you if you come closer, which is so dumb because like there's like what, like 6 other people with fucking machine guns? Like, okay, you could shoot and kill our main man Geodude here, but you're still gonna die. So I don't know what the point of that would be. It was just a silly little thing for him to say to me. Eventually, it is revealed that Geodude is actually the detective's brother that he has been looking for this whole damn time. But then he gets shot. And that is the last we see of Sexy Detective. The game, the final round is Squid Game. And suddenly, Gyun becomes mad sexy boy. Gyun and Songwoo have some kind of like, you know, in-between fight scene communication, which was kind of funny and kind of stereotypical to me. I kind of laughed at it.
Inspector Royale.
But Songwoo basically shows the mirror up to Gyun on who he is as a person, and explains that he killed Sae-byuk because, ultimately, because Gyun wouldn't have had the balls to do it if it came down to it. He's right. He's not wrong, but he's not right, but he's not wrong. But he's still wrong and not right. The scene goes on for a while, and we learn things about Songwoo that we have been figuring out this whole season. That he's just very money motivated. Which, to be fair, they all are, so I don't know why that's kind of like a, you just want the money. Well, yeah, all of you do. All of you wanted the money. Like... So basically his point is that Gyun would have let all of those people's lives go to waste by ending the games with Sae-byuk and leaving with nothing. And so Songwoo's point of view was that I'm not going to let these people die for nothing. I don't give a shit about them, but at least now their lives don't mean nothing. So in the end, Gyun tries to use the majority rule and says he wants to end the games. However, Songwoo won't let him, and he ends up sacrificing himself. Which makes Gyun the winner. On the way home, Geodude tells him to think of everything as just a dream. He kind of mentions that they were all horses and we bet on you, which is a callback to the first episode when we see Gyun gambling and betting on horses to win money. When Gyun is released, he finds a card with all of the money on it. However, when he gets home, he finds that his mom has died while he has been gone. After this, it seems like Gyun just kind of gives up on life for like a full year. Under the bridge, he gets a flower because he's still a nice guy, and this lady's like, I have to sell these by tonight. So he buys a flower from her, which has a shapes card on it. When he arrives at the place that the card says to go to at midnight, he finds 001 waiting for him. Gyun is rightfully pissed the fuck off, probably has a billion questions that are never going to be fully answered. And while 001 kind of evades everything for a little bit, He slowly is revealing who he is as a person and how he thinks about the lower class.
He'll think that you stop walking and help that disgusting, stinking, drunk little piece of trash out.
He says he wants to play one more game with Gyun, and that is to see who will help a possible drunk man on the street before midnight, which is like 5 minutes away. And I can only imagine that his connection between those with true kindness compared to those without.
After all this, so you still have faith in people?
Basically, it's like, which one will win at the end? Will the selfish people who don't care about other people win? Or will the kind-hearted people like Gyun win and someone will help this man before he initially freezes to death? So the little bit of information that we do learn is that he, 001, and the other VIPs had so much money they just basically thought that life wasn't fun anymore.
Do you know what someone who doesn't have any money has in common with someone with too much money to know what to do with? Living is no fun for either of them. It all gets boring.
When Gyun pushes back with, "You think that was fun?" This is when 001 uses that line, that kind of what I mentioned earlier, of,
"You forgot how no one had to play and you all put your signatures on the agreement."
Well, nobody made you sign the paper. Nobody made y'all come back. Gyun is literally at a loss for words. Gyun asks why 001 joined their team, and he gives a very bizarre answer of, he just wanted to play with his friends again.
I want to know why you joined us.
Oh, well, in my childhood, I always had so much fun out doing things with all of my friends. We'd lose track of time for hours. I wanted to just feel something, just one last time before I die.
That's it. Just as the clock dings on midnight, someone actually helps the drunk, proving that hopefully humanity and goodness will eventually outweigh money and greed. This also proves that Gyun might not be alone in being the only one that actually has any good in them out there. However, 001 dies before he can see this.
Look at that. There's someone who cares.
So we really don't get too many answers, if I'm being honest. Like, why do we need to kill people? If they really wanted a fair shot at the money, couldn't you just be like, hey, you guys are out, and just let them go? Like, why do we need to kill them? You could still have your entertainment of being a spectator, which he kind of uses in here, if you want, without the need for killing hundreds of people a year. However, this whole meeting might have lit a fire under Gyun's ass, because he does a series of things in a very short amount of time. For example,
He must be Chong.
he gets Sae-byuk's brother out of the orphanage. Don't know how he did that so quickly, but, you know, plot. And wrapping things up in a nice little bow. He asked Song-woo's mom to take care of him, and I don't know if this was supposed to be like a temporary type of guardianship. But okay. We missed that conversation. He also gives some money to Song-woo's mom, and I don't know if this is part of his guilt showing through because of Song-woo, or if it was just enough to pay off Song-woo's debts, which was, you know, the whole reason he went into the games. Because we have to assume that because Song-woo is dead, you know, he put their house up for collateral in her shop. So we have to assume that the collectors are eventually going to come after her, even though she has no knowledge of this. They're eventually going to come after her. So I can only imagine that it's to pay them off. In the last scene, we see Gyun talking to his daughter, telling about, hey, yeah, I'll be there soon. You know, we know that she was moving to America, so that's where she is. We see him in an airport talking to her. And then we hear a very familiar sound.
Guy, and I'm going to call you back once I get there, okay? I'll be there soon, honey.
Gyun sees his old friend Mr. Beanbags and rushes over there to confront him. He snatches the card out of the guy's hand and be like, no, you don't want to go there. He ends up calling the number on the card and telling them it wasn't a dream.
Don't get any absurd ideas.
It wasn't a dream.
We also get some insight that they have been watching him and are currently to the second watching them, because they mentioned that just get on the plane.
Just get on that plane.
Well, how did you know I was on a plane? Kind of a thing. And with that, Gyun abandons his daughter once again to go into season 2. So here are some of my final thoughts. So like I said, the show has a definite tonal shift during the marbles game, because up until that point, everybody was kind of playing each other of, hey, we're gonna win this money together. It'll be just the two of us. And yes, Song-woo did that to an extent, but you can tell he knows the game. Like Se-byuk, they knew what this game was really about. There was not going to be any two winners. It just wasn't going to happen. The main sucky part about Song-woo is that he just did it so schemingly. And don't get me wrong, his life was at stake. It wasn't, fully about the money. He didn't want to die either, but, that was a big part of it. So I get the hystericalness, the hostility when Ollie was starting to win at marbles, because it's like, oh fuck, I'm getting closer to death. But it's just the betrayal that puts a bad taste in my mouth about Song-woo. I think we kind of all were hoping, even the characters, the characters in the show were kind of hoping it wouldn't have come to like going head to head to having a final person. Like the marbles game, two people who would have eventually might have sort of created a bond, having to decide who would be eliminated. I think we all would have felt better if they would have just died because of the game rather than them being how it was. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. But we can't feel too much anger towards Song-woo in this moment. And even watching it again, at the time of writing my script for this video, I was even calling Song-woo like an asshole and things like that. But after rewatching it and modifying my script, I don't know if anybody actually put in that situation would have done anything different. He was right that Gyun wouldn't have had the balls to end Se-byuk. And she was my favorite character. Well, next to Ollie. Ollie was my favorite character. He was just so sweet. I'm sorry. And Song-woo knew that about Gyun. And again, reiterating, Song-woo knew the game. Song-woo knew that one of us is going to have to die, or ultimately all of these lives were for nothing. Not that it makes it right. Don't get me wrong. Not that it makes it right. I sympathize with Song-woo a little bit. Maybe not even sympathize. Recognize that it was an impossible situation to be in. On the other hand, we have Gyun. However, Gyun got lucky in the marbles game. Let's be real. If he hadn't have gotten 001, who eliminated himself, I don't know how far his kindness would have gotten him, because I think the whole thing was about Gyun's kindness and overcoming the greediness of the shapes of the front man of this whole situation. I love this scene right here because it really does show that ultimately Gyun has no blood on his hands. At all. Song-woo does. And Song-woo even made the point of saying that you're only here because of me. You're only here because you got lucky, because you chose the last number. Essentially, we know because 001 through the game with the marbles. That's the only reason he's here. It wasn't because of luck, it wasn't because of skill. It wasn't because of his Song-woo's drive to win. Gyun was just a too good-natured character for this world, for this series. And that's just a shitty situation. So those are my final thoughts. I don't know if they were good or not. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I really enjoyed it. It was very stressful to try to get it out and to hopefully plan everything in a way where it made sense. But I really enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed editing it. So I really hope to continue to do that. If you guys want to see anything else for me to cover, please let me know in the comments. I would love to find new shows to do that with. And again, I just had a really fun time revisiting it and, coming up with silly little jokes that hopefully gave you guys a chuckle. With all that being said, thank you so much for clicking on this video and watching till the end. If you guys did watch it till the end, please recommend some other shows or anything else that you guys would like me to cover, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!